What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about Van Gundy possibly being the head coach of the James Harden and Russell Westbrook, two former MVPs and scoring champions and former teammates in OKC, possibly getting him as a head coach. And this is a little weird because Van Gundy haven't coached in so long and he really seemed like he wasn't showing no interest. Yeah, we heard his name pop up from time to time as possibly being the head coach, but it never really materialized to anything. And they always went with a different head coach. So it's a little surprising to see that he's the likely head coach, considering that he hasn't done it in a long time. Now, I liked him as a head coach. I feel like he's a great head coach and he really do understand the game. He really does know the game and he proves that every time he broadcasts. But at the same time, this is a roster, and this is my problem. This is a roster that needs fixing. The micro ball was smart considering that it really got the best out of Westbrook during the regular season and it really did what D'Antoni wanted to do. But D'Antoni's no longer the coach. And these guys are getting older. These guys are getting closer to the end of their contracts. And you have to win now. You have two guys in their 30s that's playing their best basketball. And Russell had a chance, but he played worse in the playoffs and in the bubble than actually in the regular season. So it's interesting to see what direction they're going to go in. Because Van Gundy, he's not a micro ball, small ball coach. And that's what this roster is currently constructed to do. And that's the best way to do it. The biggest problem with the roster is they don't really have that many ways to change this roster. And it's not like it's a big man out here that's available that can really change them to whether it can fit Van Gundy style, which is slow, grinded out basketball, and his team just not built for that. And with some of their guys under contract and some of their guys potentially being able to leave, with the contracts that Westbrook and James Harden have and the personnel that they have, it's going to be difficult to find a perfect fit when you don't really have any assets. I'm not in a rush to get Robert Covington, but at the same time, they need a Robert Covington. I'm not in a rush to let PJ Tucker go because he fit, but keeping PJ Tucker haven't worked. They got to the NBA Finals. I mean, NBA one game from the NBA Finals, one quarter, because they was up that game going into the fourth and game six and game seven. But the last 2 years they had put out in the second round. So PJ Tucker has been excellent. He has been a perfect complementary player to James Harden. Same with Eric Gordon. Same with Covington. But at the same time, it hasn't worked. It hasn't won them a title. It hasn't got them to a finals. So a lot of mentality and a lot of things have to change in Houston. The analytics has worked to a certain extent. They have become a playoff team every year. The trade for James Harden worked because they have become a contender every year. But at the same time, they haven't won the ultimate goal, which is getting James Harden the personnel that he needs to win the title. And they really wanted to bring DAntoni back. They really felt like they can do something special with him. But this roster was built to fit his style of play, and he got the best out of it, but he didn't get them to a title either. So if they want to bring in Van Gundy, I believe they're going to change some personnel. I do think he can get them to the playoffs every year. I do think that they'll still be a contender, but I really want to see what Daryl Morey and the organization want to do because the analytics, the threes and layups, that hasn't worked. That hasn't been validated as a success when it comes to winning championships. It was smart, it was different, and you couldn't really knock it until we seen if it was going to fail or succeed. So now that we seen it play out, now that we seen how it is, it hasn't been a success. And that's going to be tough because Daryl Morey is still your general manager, and that's just still the type of style of ball they want to play, even though it hasn't got them where they want it to go. And like I've been saying for the last couple of videos, is the NBA only got tougher next year. So I do think the Rockets will be one of the better teams. I do think they'll be in the playoffs if Harden and Westbrook can stay healthy for majority of the season like they've been able to do. But at the same time, the goal is not to be one of the best teams. The goal is to be a legitimate contender for a title. And I don't really see that with this roster currently constructed. Yeah, they had some interesting games. Yeah, they had an interesting style, but they only won one game against the Lakers. The Lakers are going to be great next year, and so is a lot of other teams. It's not like they pushed these teams to a limit. James Harden said they one piece away, but it really didn't seem like that. You know what I'm saying? The whole season. We all knew that was great. We all knew that was going to be good, but they never was a team that was going to win it all. We never felt that way. We felt like it was going to be tricky. We felt like they'd be a tough out. We gave our respects to them as an organization, but they didn't deliver this year. And then they had Chris Paul and James Harden, and they lost to the Warriors without Kevin Durant in 6 games. So this hasn't worked. And Daryl Morey has did a fantastic job trying to construct a roster that they needed to play their type of brand and their type of style. That hasn't worked either. Even though he's been doing this for years and he has been making great trades and he has been picking up good assets and he has been molding the roster the way they want it to be, but it hasn't been a success. So Van Gundy, I think that he's going to come in and they're going to have to listen to him. If I'm Van Gundy, I will be demanding certain things to change if I'm coming in as a coach, just because you don't want to continue to do something that hasn't proven to win. I'm not saying you have to give up on micro ball. I'm not saying that it's just this roster shown that they're not there. And when James Harden is saying you one piece away when you don't really have no interest in pieces to get another piece, and this is the way you wanted to go in all in on, and it really wasn't enough because he's saying they one piece away, what direction do you go in? D'Antoni is gone. The style didn't work. They weren't even close this year, and they went all in on this style. And it's going to be hard to get rid of Westbrook. You traded all your picks to get him, and now he has a contract that is crazy for his play style, and the fact that it's going to be impossible to get rid of it. Plus, James Harden wants him on his team, so it's going to be hard to get rid of him anyway because he might not want him gone, even if it's for the betterment of the team, which is going to be tough because of his contract. And even if you trade him, you have to get a guy that fits and can make this team even better, which they thought Westbrook would be doing, but they ended up taking a step back and they ended up not being as great as the Rockets hoped they would be. So I'm disappointed as a Rockets fan. Van Gundy isn't the coach yet. We don't know if he will be the coach. But if I'm a Rockets fan, I have to really watch what we do in the draft. I have to watch what we do in the free agency, and I have to watch what we do at the trade deadline because Harden and Westbrook are going to get theirs. They're amazing. They're superstars. They're all NBA players. But if you have two All NBA players, two All Stars, and you saying you still one piece away with not really being able to know what the piece is and how to get that piece and how to keep it to complement these two players because they're the ones you're building the championship foundation around, you're in trouble. So I don't think Van Gundy is a huge upgrade over D'Antoni. And even if you feel like he can be better than D'Antoni, this type of roster don't fit with what he's trying to do and what he's about. Yeah, people change. Yeah, people reinvent themselves. But at the same time, Harden even admitting that this roster currently constructed isn't good enough. And how are they going to get that piece? And what can they do to upgrade the roster? Because that's the goal. You want to be one piece away. You got to get that piece, and you got to make sure you upgrade it. How are they going to get that piece? That's Daryl Morey's job. We're going to have to wait and see and wait and find out. If not, this is going to be a great team, not elite, not championship contender, and that means they're not going to be able to win the title, even with Van Gundy. So, in my personal opinion, they have a lot of things to figure out, a lot of things to think about. Best part about it, there's no start date for the season. They have a lot of time to really figure out who that piece might be, what's the next step, what they need to change, what they need to figure out because they're out of the playoffs. So they have plenty of time to figure things out. They know what works, what doesn't work because they had the season, they had the seeding games, they had the playoffs, and now they just got to come together as an organization and figure out what is that piece, who is it going to be, and what they can do to acquire it. It's not over. I'm not saying they're done. I'm just saying they far away from a championship than they thought they was coming into this season. And now they got to figure out how to reconstruct this roster to whoever coach they hire. And even if they do that, will they be better than the teams that's already at the top of the West? And if they are, then they're going in the right direction. But, they can't do nothing right now as the playoffs is still going on. And it might go on further depending on what the Heat do today. But let me know what you guys think. Is Van Gundy the right guy? Should they hire Van Gundy? Should they go in a different direction? Or do you think this Rockets, Harden, and Westbrook is overblown, overrated, and they're not going to get it done? Or do you think, a piece? Who should they trade for? Who should they sign? And who could change this culture in a different direction? Should they go back with another center? Should they go with another different type of small ball player? Or is that guy just not out there? Or do they have to wait to trade deadline just like they did with Robert Covington and try to make that move and hope it works for the best? Because that move was successful in its own right, but they also didn't get closer to a title like they thought they would. They actually took a step back. And that's not where you want to be when you have your two best players in the prime of their career and they're only going to get older from here on out. And their contracts are ridiculous at this point when it comes to the cap. So they're in a tough situation. Daryl Morey and the organization gonna have to figure it out. But check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link in the description, comment section below. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that liked on Facebook already. Not only that, check out my videos. I have over 1,000 videos, almost 2,000 videos on my channel. So if you like this video, check out my older ones. I do breakdowns with real actual footage of players, legends, rookies, summer league breakdowns. Also, I do cover summer league, the draft, free agency, trade deadline, season previews, top 10 lists and discussions, and playoff predictions too. So if you like that type of stuff, you like basketball each and every day, this is the channel for you. I also have a spread shirt where you guys can buy merchandise. That will be available in the description in the comment section below. I also do got hats and shirts on my Facebook page. If you want to buy any of those or you want to check any of that out, you can message me. I can get you any color shirt, any color logo that you pick. You can change the color of each one of them, and you can message me and I can get shipped out to you. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about the Rockets.